So let's transition now into this article that you had to tell me about. I did not know about this article until you told me about this article earlier today when we were kind of talking through, some of the stuff, that we wanted to talk. Obviously, we knew we were going to cover spring practice and stuff like that, but we were kind of talking through some of the other stuff that we wanted to highlight on the show. And you brought up this article from 247 Sports. I don't know if any of our audience out there is familiar with this article at all, or if they have read it. But let me tell you, it is quite the read, and it is from Brad Crawford over at 247 Sports. And he ranked basically the top 35 college football coaches, right, in order from 1 to 35. And I just want the comment section out there. Before we get into this, Jordan, I want the comment section out there to try to guess the top 5 in order. That's what I want the comment section to do really quick. We will not mention the top 5 in order. If you have seen the article, please don't put it in there. I want your best guess if you have not seen the article. Just to guess the top 5. We'll just start with the top 5. So while everybody's in there, Edward Brad Crawford, the Gamecock fan.
Yeah, he is certainly a Gamecock apologist for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an interesting list to say the least. But while we're waiting on people to put them in, some of the kind of standouts that outside of the top 5.
Let's talk about some of the bottom of the list, because there was some weird stuff down there too that I was like, really? Like, it got a little. It got I think like a Dave Clawson was like all the way down at the end of the list almost. Was he 35?
Yeah, he's 35.
35.
Behind
you
Mike
should have.
Elko.
Yeah, some of the coaches above him, I was like, what? What is going on? John Sarian says, I've already read it. I know how whack it is. Okay, so it seems like everybody in the comment section, or everybody commenting right now, has read it. So I guess we can get into the top 5, and they go as such. Kirby Smart, obviously back-to-back national champion from UGA. Nick Saban. Number 3, Jim Harbaugh. Number 4, our very own Dabo Swinney. And number 5, Brian Kelly, first-year head coach from LSU. So let's just talk about this. I don't have a problem with 1 and 2 being Kirby and Saban. I don't think you do either. Whatever.
I do have the Kirby over Saban thing is interesting.
I think that's a lot of recency bias, because Kirby Smart is a back-to-back national champion. So they're just naturally putting him at 1. But, I mean, honestly, if you're talking about overall coaching resume, it's not even close. It's not even close. I don't care that Kirby Smart has won back-to-back national titles. That doesn't matter. His resume does not is dwarfed compared to a Nick Saban. There's no one out there that has the resume of a Nick Saban. They don't. So if you're talking about overall resume, Nick Saban should 100% be number 1, not Kirby Smart. But I get the recency bias there. But the Jim Harbaugh over Dabo Swinney, in what world does that make sense? Make that make sense for me. How is a Jim Harbaugh ranked over a Dabo Swinney? Why? Because he beat Ohio State two years in a row and went to the playoffs and got his butt kicked? I mean, he lost to a TCU team that got – I mean, what was the final score of the national title? Do you remember, Jordan?
I believe it was the score of 65-7.
65-7.
Yeah.
So Jim Harbaugh beat the mighty Ohio State Buckeyes, went to the playoffs, lost to a TCU team that went on to the national championship and got blown out by a Georgia team 65-7.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. I mean,
there are some things that just and again, I understand that this list is supposed to is and I think he even acknowledges in the article that that his list is heavily based on has a heavy recency bias in it. But
no doubt.
Just because you acknowledge it doesn't mean it excuses it.
Yeah, doesn't make it any more or any less ridiculous.
I just don't see a world where you can. I don't see how you can justify ranking Dabo below Jim Harbaugh. If we're talking about even within the recency bias, sphere of looking at things, it would make a little bit more sense if Dabo had gone. I understand Harbaugh has made back-to-back playoffs,
right,
and back-to-back Big Ten titles, and
sure,
he should be commended for that. He's done a great job there. This is not me disrespecting Jim Harbaugh. I think he's a good coach, and he's done a good job of kind of reviving that program because he was about to be let go after the COVID season, or really close to being let go after the COVID season. And it would have been different if Dabo had, I don't know. Obviously, the past 2 years for Clemson football have not been up to the standard of what they were from 2015 to 2020. But they haven't fallen off a cliff.
no.
I think you could have made this, if you're acknowledging recency bias. I think you could have made this argument better if Dabo had gone like 6-6, or something, or even like 8-4 back-to-back seasons, and completely missed. Didn't play for didn't win the ACC either year or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, the past two seasons they've gone 10-3 and 11-3.
Yeah,
like what?
That's better than a lot of seasons that Jim Harbaugh has had at Michigan.
Right, that's better than almost every season he's had at Michigan before these past two seasons. I mean, what are we like? In no world can you make that make sense. Yes, did he beat Ohio State twice? Did he win the Big Ten back-to-back seasons? But that's it. Dabo Swinney is a two-time national champion. He revived a program as well. He has been consistent for over a decade at said program. How do you even compare what Jim Harbaugh's done at Michigan? And I'm not saying he hasn't done a good job, because he has done a good job at Michigan. But if you're comparing it to what a Dabo Swinney has done at Clemson, it's not even close.
No,
it's not even in the same realm.
No, you know what? And the thing is, Dabo Swinney has more national championships than Jim Harbaugh has bowl wins at Michigan.
There you go.
How you can rank a two-time national champion has won double digits, has had double-digit win seasons at Clemson every year since 2011. I don't see how two substandard by a little bit years enough to drop him another spot. I understood, if you want to elevating Kirby ahead of Dabo, he's won back-to-back, and so then now they're tied at national champions. Kirby has been at Georgia a shorter amount of time. Sure, I guess, and Georgia's obviously they're recruiting at a higher level. I get that. I'm not gonna push back too much if you want to put Kirby over Dabo.
Cool, whatever.
But Jim Harbaugh has had two really, really strong seasons in which it ended less than spectacularly. Obviously, I don't really fault him for losing to Georgia in 2021. that Georgia team is just really good.
Yeah.
And
What are you going to
that's
do?
understand. But I will say that Georgia team did not look like that even against a substandard Clemson team that year. Clemson played them to a 10-3 slugfest, and Michigan was basically out of the game by the third quarter.
Correct.
So I'm just I don't, and yeah, this is a lot of comparative and all that, but I don't understand the reasoning here. I don't see how making 2 playoffs in which you didn't win a playoff game as enough to elevate elevate someone over a coach who's won 2 national championships, has made 4 other playoffs, and he did it with consecutively as well. Just because they had they had a 10 and 11 win season instead of a 12, 13, 14 win season. I think that's silly. And what's funny? Harbaugh has beaten Ohio State 2 years in a row. Dabo still has more wins over Ohio State than Jim Harbaugh does.
I was gonna say that. And guess what? We don't play them every year.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Jim Harbaugh. And then also Brian Kelly at 5. Really?
Yeah.
Brian Kelly at 5.
That's an interesting one, because I think I don't hate that one as much.
I don't hate it, but I don't know, man. 5th?
I think he's rewarding. I think he's rewarding Brian Kelly for being, because Brian. I'm not a huge fan of Brian Kelly personally. I don't think he's like a horrible person, but he kind of he definitely rubs some people the wrong way, and it's a matter of personal taste.
Hey, he's got a family.
He's got a family. Yeah, that's right. But it's all about that family atmosphere. But I think Brad is rewarding Kelly for being incredibly consistent. Because say what you want about Brian Kelly, he's everywhere he's been, he's won at a really consistent high level. Has he won a national championship? No. He's played for one, but he hasn't won a national championship. But he's been incredibly consistent going back to his days at Cincinnati. He was really good at Notre Dame. Went to 2 playoffs with Notre Dame, and this first season at LSU, a program that was that's been kind of reeling in the since the latter years of Ed Orgeron.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but don't you at least got to win a major postseason game to get in the top 5? I mean,
when you put it in perspective of some of the guys that he ranked by, he put Ryan Day behind Brian Kelly, and Ryan Day, yeah, he's only been at Ohio State since 2019, but he's won a playoff game.
Yeah,
he's won a Big Ten title.
Brian Kelly can't even win a damn bowl game. I mean, what are we doing?
I mean, they did. LSU did demolish Purdue, but I guess that's. I mean, whatever.
Come on now, it's Purdue. But I said a major postseason game, not against Purdue. It's just nobody cares about that. I don't know, man. I think it's a little too.
This list has a lot of interesting plays.
I don't hate it, but I think it's too high for Brian Kelly. I don't know, man. I think that's undeserved. Not saying he's not a good coach, or that he won't eventually be successful at LSU or anything like that, because he very well might be. But you got to show me more than what Brian Kelly has shown me to be considered in the top 5 of college football coaches right now. Not that he's a terrible coach, because I'm not saying that he is, because I don't think that he is, but he just hasn't proven enough, I don't think, to be in the top 5 of college football coaches right now.
Yeah. And we'll see. I mean, it's his first, he had a really strong first year at LSU, but sure. you gotta keep it up.
Yeah, he's got to follow that up now. He's got to continue the momentum that he built season 1, which he did really good. I mean, went to the SEC championship season 1. So, unfortunately for him, he probably set a pretty high bar with the LSU fans. So he's going to have to maintain that, which may be difficult. Just based off the people that they have to play. And then 6 through 10 was Ryan Day, Riley over at USC, Kyle Whittingham at Utah, Luke Fickell at Wisconsin, and then
Still weird to say.
That's so weird to say. I keep wanting to say Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And then Heupel at Tennessee. That rounds out your top 10 people. So you got Kirby, Saban, Harbaugh, Dabo, Brian Kelly, Ryan Day, Riley, Kyle Whittingham, Luke Fickell, and Josh Heupel to round out your top 10. An interesting top 10, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, the main gripe, obviously, I mean, this is a Clemson show. We obviously were a little surprised by.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely ridiculous. Jim Harbaugh cannot be ranked over a Dabo Swinney. That's absolutely ridiculous. You want to rank Kirby and Saban, sure, whatever. Kirby, back-to-back national championship. Saban, obviously the best resume ever in college football. So if Dabo's third, I'm cool with that. But Dabo being behind a Jim Harbaugh, absolutely not. That's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. The dude interviews for NFL jobs every offseason. At best, he's won a Big Ten championship and no playoff games. So, no, I'm sorry. You are not the third best college football coach. There's absolutely no way you are.
You gave the Big 12 its first playoff win.
You almost got fired 3 years ago. Yeah, and you gave the Big 12 its first playoff win. Oh, and it wasn't against an Oklahoma-led Riley team, right?
That's still crazy to me. Yeah, Oklahoma went to the playoff how many years? They went in 15, 17, 18, and 19. Like four. Yes. They went to it 4 times, and they haven't had another team make it, have they?
No. So they lost to Clemson the first time, right? And then
they lost to Clemson in 15. They lost to Georgia in 17. Lost to Alabama in 18 and lost to LSU in 19.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
So it's Oklahoma didn't end up being, and they never will be the first.
Nope.
We'll I mean, unless Oklahoma manages to, unless Brent Venables does something crazy their final year in the Big 12, and
I don't think so.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure the pieces are there to do all that. I'm sure they'll be better. I think.
No, I'm sure they'll be better. I hope they're better. I hope Brent Venables has success at Oklahoma, unless he plays Clemson, and then I hope he loses. But I hope he has success against
absolutely
as the head coach at Oklahoma. I wish him obviously all the best. But Jim Harbaugh will forever be the coach that allowed the Big 12 its first playoff win.
Yeah.
And
honestly,
TCU team, to be that win.
Yeah. That TCU team is not one of the better teams to make it either.
No.
So just
no.
That's all I'm saying. And if they played that game 10 times, does Michigan lose? More often than not, no. I think Michigan was better. I still think Michigan was a better team than TCU this year, but you can't lose that game.
But they still lost.
Yeah, they
lost when it mattered. So honestly, it doesn't matter that you were the better team. You lost. You would when all the chips were pushed in the middle of the table, you couldn't get the job done. So it honestly doesn't matter that you were a better team than TCU. They beat you. When the ultimate prize was at hand. Not that Michigan would have beat Georgia in a national championship either, but I don't think it would have had any bearing on the outcome of the national title. But yeah, you can't put Jim Harbaugh in front of Dabo Swinney in any coach ranking right now.
No. Unless you're ranking like unless you're ranking losses or bowl losses or something like that, and then sure, go ahead.
If you're ranking playoff coaches from last year, Dabo Swinney can be below Jim Harbaugh. That's about it.
Yeah, because he didn't make it.
Because he didn't make the playoffs. That's about it. That's the only scenario that a Dabo Swinney would be below a Jim Harbaugh in any college football play or any college football coach ranking. So, yeah, not happening.
And no shade. And again, and we have Michigan.
No shade to Michigan.
We have some Michigan fans that tune in.
No shade to Michigan.
Two guys I consider friends, so this is not. It's not an
absolutely
attack on Michigan or Jim Harbaugh.
Absolutely not Michigan hate. It's not anything like that. It's just if you're being objective, if you take off the big M glasses, you cannot say that Jim Harbaugh has been a better college football coach than Dabo Swinney. No. Maybe when it shakes out and it's all said and done, he will be. Probably not, but anything can happen. This is college football.
Not ruling it out for sure.
Ruling it out.
Michigan's going to have another really good team this year.
So, for sure. They're absolutely going to be good this year. Now, if Jim Harbaugh could just stop flirting with the NFL every offseason, maybe Michigan can get some freaking, some good recruiting done if he doesn't keep, interviewing for every open NFL job every offseason.
And they're most certainly being negatively recruited, and they're
absolutely
like what? That's not really. They're not heavy NIL, even though they could be, but they choose not to be. They're not a heavy NIL school, and so
they have a massive alumni base. I mean, they could.
And a lot of rich alumni,
they could. Ohio State too. I mean, both of them. They got massive, alumni bases, so they could really drum up more money than Clemson could ever dream of. Obviously Clemson's a way smaller school, so they could definitely be a big player in the NIL game. But it seems that they are going in a different direction when it comes to stuff like that, which, to each their own. Look, you gotta run your program. You got to do what works for you. And they're going to be really good this season again. And honestly, their outlook this season is better than Ohio State's right now. When you're looking at the two teams objectively, you can't say that Michigan's not better, at least on paper right now, than Ohio State heading into into spring and into the next season. Michigan's obviously the better team right now. We'll see how it shakes out at the end, but right now, if I had to pick it, I would pick Michigan over Ohio State right now. So there's obviously no hate to Michigan. Just we definitely had to make some noise about that ranking, and because Brad Crawford is clearly, a chicken man. So. It is.
Yeah, this is more of my vendetta against Brad Crawford.
No, it's all about where his bias lies, not necessarily about Jim Harbaugh and Michigan.
For sure.
More so him.